What's up, hobby friends, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Alright, so we got some cool hobby stuff to talk about. Get your paintbrushes out, your paints, sit down, get a drink. Let's get into this. First thing we're going to do, check in on old Brent over here and see what he's been up to with all the hobby last couple weeks.
Well, I think we're going to do a little bit of a 3D printer episode today. And for all of you without 3D printers, you just keep painting. You just listen to us natter on, and you put some paint on your paintbrush and paint on bravely. Or walk your cat, or whatever it is you do while you listen to Paint Bravely, the podcast.
Walking cats is pretty good, though.
Pretty good. Pretty great.
Yeah.
Now, here in Goobertown, it's springtime. The sun's out, the snow is melted, the birds are chirping, the grass is starting to grow again, and it's not quite so dang cold in my basement. And so you know what that means. It is 3D printing season for the next 6 months. So, whereas in the winter, it gets cold in my basement, the 3D prints, 50-50 whether they actually finish or not. But in the springtime, the summertime, the warm months of autumn, it prints just fine. So, I've got a little bit of a backlog. I've been cranking on through. Now, these days, I've got a Creality Hallett 1 Plus that seems to be functional. So, loaded that up with some Anycubic resin, flesh-colored resin. It's a peachy color.
Ooh. Ooh, okay.
Yep. Now, I like the tans, the peachy. I don't like white. I don't like black.
Sure.
Gray is okay, but there's a coldness to it that tends to like shine right through the primer and make the paint jobs just a little bit more annoying. I like the warmth of that peachy flesh resin.
That makes no sense.
You'll get your turn to talk.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, just wondering how that works once you prime over it. It's all black primer. It's white zenithal. It's like, it's no color showing through that primer, I hope.
We've talked about this before. I like to prime with red-brown because I feel like a little bit of that primer color does show through however many layers of paint you put on over the top.
Oh, okay.
And gray, there's just something cold and clinical about it that just kind of dirties up some paint jobs unless you put like 4 coats of paint on top of it. That's just how I feel, and also the truth, the literal truth. So
the literal truth. Okay, all right. Well, that's fine. Your truth is your truth.
Yeah. So, anyway, with the changing of the seasons, I loaded up my printer. It's printing season again. We're getting to that side of the hobby to get some new and wonderful things to paint. So, how about you, Casey?
I'm kind of on the same journey. I've been doing this project, taking all these old Stormcast, busted Stormcast models, and 3D printing a bunch of stuff to make them look cool. And, shaving down all their shields so I can do some fancy freehand on them. Yeah. So, I've been 3D printing out all this stuff and using the classic, always good Anycubic gray because it just works. I don't know. Used to use the green stuff, the Anycubic green. That's what I started with, and I don't know that you could see through it so much, but it was brittle, so I stopped using it. Just felt brittle. I think because it was curing through the clearness of it.
Could be.
Or I was letting it sit in the sun too long or something. I don't know. But the gray seems to do its job really well every time. So, I don't know. Once that started working, I just haven't switched from it. I'm not sure about the color coming through at all. I haven't noticed any difference because I have some peach colored resins, but I don't know that I've noticed any difference with it.
Okay. Okay.
Paint wise, because I do like to prime that, red brown, depending on what overcoats I'm doing. That's always a good way to go. But yeah, black over gray and a little zenithal on top of that seems just fine.
Well, that method sounds good. Yeah, if you're doing a black and white zenithal, makes sense with the gray, actually. That sounds pretty dang good, actually. Yeah. So we do agree to stay in the middle of the spectrum, not black, not white, because then you're looking at an object and your eyes just can't register any details. You can't see if it printed correctly. You can't see if there's, nubs and crap to clean up. You just see, like a void or, the glare off of an ice patch. You see nothing with the black resin or the white resin. But which is why for polystyrene, like models, it's white or non-colored polystyrene pellets, and they mix in just a little bit of gray so that models come out gray, so that you're holding the sprue, you can see what you're doing. Much better than white, much better than black.
Well, I think that's a lot why people default to the gray anyways, because it's so similar to looking at a sprue. That's what you're used to, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like when I'm putting parts together, it makes sense in my head. Like I'm not thinking about it like, oh, this is a 3D print and this is whatever. It's like, no, this is all parts and pieces that belong together, and then it's going to get primed. But I don't know. It's like mentally, it just makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're at a big 40K tournament and you drop your dreadnought and his specialty claw breaks off. You break off your lasgun on your dreadnought.
Yeah.
And everybody sees that green on the inside of your dreadnought.
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, much safer to use plastic. Gray. I see what you're thinking. That's a good point, Casey.
I love that. You just throw that on me right there. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Judge. Can you come over here? Can you come over here and look at this for a minute?
That looks like hot resin in here.
Yeah.
Remove this guy from the tournament.
That's Anycubic Eco green resin. Circa 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of orcs that have a lot of that green resin. Like an obscene amount of it. Yeah. So, yeah. No, I've definitely never like shied away from 3D printing anything for my armies. Like, I certainly don't plan on playing at a Warhammer event so specifically that it would be an issue.
No.
And even then, like, I think to a degree, I don't necessarily agree with their ruling on that. I understand, like, playing with models from a company that's their tournament they're putting on, they're paying for. It's, like going to a Magic tournament, you're not bringing, knockoffs or something. Like, that'd be weird.
Yeah.
Right.
My guess is that those rules aren't enforced too heavily.
I can't imagine they are, unless it's like super egregious, right? Like you just can tell that this isn't what this is supposed to be. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But like a little gubbins or whatever, like
in the far reaches of the possible situation where you're called out for a 3D printed bit in an official Warhammer 40K tournament, and the judge says, that bit 3D printed, pull out your cell phone, press record, but get the little video app going, just press record.
Oh, yeah.
And say, I'm sorry, can you ask this is a judge at a Warhammer 40K event?
Yeah.
Can you repeat your question to me, sir? Just the optics of disqualifying someone or whatever for a 3D printed combi melta is not good. It's not good. Yeah, so
right. Yeah, exactly.
But
especially if I could just sculpt it myself, and it's like crap, but still you can tell what it is, and like sure that flies. Yeah. Right? That's totally fine. I mean, we're certainly not here to talk about the GW 3D printing policy.
Yeah, which we barely understand, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's not like we run into it often. Still, it's a thing.
So we actually did touch on a real issue, though, of if you do get damage to your minis or your basing or whatever, like the color of the material does play a role in how obvious that damage is. So for example, the terrain channels like Black Magic Craft, when he's using Mod Podge, he mixes black paint into his Mod Podge so that instead of putting down a layer of white texture and then painting over it, he's putting down a layer of gray texture and then painting over it. And that means that just as terrain is taking damage in just ordinary use, that damage is showing through as gray, which most people won't even pick up on. Like, it'd have to be taking a lot of damage for anyone to even register it. But if you're dealing with a white material underneath, and you chip off a couple of rocks, or some of your sand or your flock falls off, whatever, that white is going to shine through. And in that situation, hey, depends what the model is. Maybe my peachy flesh resin is the wrong call. I don't know. We'll find out.
I mean, if you're throwing your minis around, I guess. I don't know.
Everything takes damage. Even I've been painting bravely and trying to dry brush a little bit more recently. And so
all right.
And so in the situation where I have a metal mini and I think spray on like airbrush primer is a little less durable than the organic solvent spray can primer. And so
definitely.
The act of dry brushing over airbrush primer on metal mini, I'm getting a few like little chips of some of the high points are wearing off, and I'm seeing a little bit of silver under there. You know, they're just in daily use. Yeah, the paint jobs take damage even when you're working on them. Like it happens. Oh yeah, it happens. And in the situation where you have the choice of what color the foundational material of your mini is, hey, if it's something that kind of camouflages in with what the paint job is eventually going to look like, not a bad thing. It's an edge case, but not a bad thing.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, you know, in general, like we said, like gray is just going to be easier to see when you're working on stuff to clean it up.
Yep.
So, yeah.
No, I think
I like to default there.
Yeah, and that's the same conversation with primers as well. Gray is pretty easy to see. Tan is pretty easy to see. Browns, flesh color, like that's not so bad. Not so bad.
Yeah. I guess because we're talking about 3D printing, I guess I want to, because we haven't really talked about it in a while, like in earnest, I suppose. The last time we really touched on 3D printing, like we both had like first generation Anycubic photons, right?
Heck yeah.
But like HD, LCD, non-mono, single rail, you know, printer, right?
No, those are. I mean, they're. I don't know what you want to call them. I think they're technically what 2K. I think they're 2K. Yeah, they're 2K.
Okay.
So
yeah.
My opinion is that resolution on the size of an Anycubic photon is just fine. That's my take.
Oh, I agree.
That's my stance.
Yeah. I fully agree. Yeah. Like that thing printed out so much good stuff for me.
Yeah. That was a key moment in history, the Anycubic photon.
Really didn't fail that often. Oh yeah. Yes. No, I definitely agree with that. But you know, now we're getting like your standard is like 8K with auto-filling vats and heaters and filters and whatever. I saw a printer the other day that has all sorts of like detection on it for if a print fails, you know, it'll stop printing and just like auto cleaning and all this weird crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have things even gotten better? Like, are they actually genuinely better for what we use them for? Or is it still as good as the photon?
I don't know. So like I said, the most advanced printer I have right now is the Howlett 1 Plus, which I think might be 4K. I'm not even super sure. But over a couple of years, I did notice that like the LCD screen on the printer went from a single color to like a full color mini LCD screen, like a touch screen for the control when you're setting up a print. And just all kinds of little things like that, like little improvements of quality of life. I still haven't tried an auto-filling. I still haven't tried the heated resin bath, although maybe I should. Like, you know, we get into winter 2023, winter 2024. I might need that heated bath for my resin vat to keep things going. But I don't know. There definitely are all these iterations that printers are more feature filled these days, and I think some of them are nice quality of life things. The resolutions keep going up, which in theory improves the quality of the prints. I mean, it's getting kind of on the margins there because, like I said, like the quality of the prints coming out of that Anycubic Photon from, I don't even know what the date of that was. We should look that up. What, 2017, 2018?
Something like that, yeah. It was a while ago. It was 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years. Yeah, almost even. Yeah, like 4 years ago, something like that.
Sure.
It's been a minute, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's what's not a revolution, but an evolution. Like there have been many evolutions, revolutionary, evolutionary iterations. There's been some good iterations in there for sure.
Yeah, yeah, good iterations on some already like decent technology. Like things, you know, have gotten, I guess, easier. Leveling out your print head or whatever is generally a non-issue these days, I feel like. Where it used to be like a single locking screw on a swivel head that, like, if you got it wrong would definitely not work. And now it's like, well, we can lock off half these axes and it's fine. Although I don't know why not just have it literally be flat all the time. Is it so hard to ask to just be flat? I feel like it's an up and down mechanism. Like, do we need, okay, I don't know. I'm not sure the function of being able to move it at all.
Yeah, I don't know. They must not have been able to figure that out. Anyway, just a little bit of leveling to make sure that the LCD screen and your print plate are always parallel to one another. Like, that's
right. But like,
is it that hard?
Is it that hard? Like, if it's a thing that goes up and down and the screen never moves, right? Like, you pancake flat every time. Does it move? Does something move? Or is it like because you take it off?
I mean, it's all connected to a screw. So I guess at the like point of contact with the linear actuator, the screw part of things, like there's a ramp there. Like there's a inclined plane in a circle, the screw bit, the threads.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
It's like that, at least. Like there's a little bit of side to side motion there, right? So to make sure that that's perfectly aligned, they need a little bit of a correction with it. Whatever. Apparently, it's necessary.
I'm sure there's a reason. Dude, I'm sure there is a reason.
Dude, the level of wrath that we would have if there was no way to adjust the print plate. If there was no way to adjust the print plate and it was off center for whatever reason, or it was slightly misaligned,
sure. Like you had to like bend the metal into place or something. Yeah.
The level of anger, astronomical. Yeah.
I understand in principle why it is that way. At the same time, it doesn't seem like it's necessary. Like when you just think about it for a minute, okay. It's like, Okay, they've developed, the plates to pop off 3D prints, right?
Yep.
So why not have a fixed head that just goes down and it prints and then you just pop off the plate? That's the thing that gets removed, but everything is always level all the time.
Sure.
Like sure. I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
Okay, so let's reframe it like this. Modern day 2023, what is the most annoying, labor-intensive, fiddly bit of 3D printing, 3D resin printing these days?
Changing the FEP.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good answer. Dang good answer.
Yeah. Hands down, that is the absolute worst part of owning a 3D printer. I could care less about the mess or the smell or anything else, but every time I have to change out an FEP, it's like, all right, I gotta get ready,
Okay.
Gotta make sure I have all my stuff, and there's 100 screws that I gotta take out and then pop back through this new FEP and hope I don't screw it up.
Okay. The FEP is the fluorinated ethyl propylene. I don't know. It is.
That's a good answer.
It is a sheet of essentially clear Teflon. The point is that the rays from the screen on the printer can shoot up through the clear bottom of the FEP into the resin vat and make the magic happen. And just over time, that clear piece of plastic gets scratched up and mucked up and weird little smudges on it. And every once in a while, you need to clear out that thin, clear piece of plastic on the bottom of the resin vat. And it is, to make a watertight or resin-tight seal, it's a whole lot of tiny little set screws that keep that piece of plastic in place. And once your brand new printer has seen a few dozen print runs, or you accidentally make a few errors, you got to change that out, and it is an odyssey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. It's a hero's journey, if you will. Yeah. It's a huge pain. And I have to do it on 2 of my printers right now. So I've been using an Anycubic Mono X and an Elegoo Saturn. And I did a huge project, right? Like was a month and a half, 2 months ago. I don't even know how far we are into this year. I did that Stompa with all the guns on it, right? And I printed out just an absolute insane amount of stuff. And I still have tons of bits. I printed out way more than I needed. But I was just on a kick, right? I went through a gallon and a half or something of resin. It was a lot. And those FEPs are real loose. Essentially, if you've ever played drums, or if you've been around drums at all, after a while of hitting that drum, the head gets loose and they have to be replaced. It's the same kind of thing. You just put dents and you do all this stuff, and you're pulling up the resin off of that FEP, because it's curing to it. It's going to stretch, and that's just what it is. So right now, to not have to replace my FEPs, I'm printing on the very edge of the plate all the way around. And that's working real good. So pro tip, hot tip, if you will, if your FEP is just jacked or you did something to it, as long as there's not a hole in it, it's leaking resin everywhere, just move all of your stuff in your slicer program to the outside of the plate, and it should still work pretty good. You might get some funky offsetting, sometimes things can come out at a 5-degree angle. So watch out for that, because the center is really where you want it to be. But hey, it works pretty good. So that's been my life this last week and a half or so. I haven't committed to replacing it. I've just been printing everything on the edge. But you saw the models, you couldn't tell they were warped in any fashion. They look good. Yeah. The models you showed me did look good. So yeah, the thing that makes any of these repairs more annoying is that the sticky mess of resin has not been solved and will not be solved anytime soon.
that
Probably not, no.
if you do commit to getting a 3D printer, again, keep it somewhere where you're not constantly breathing the fumes, and keep it somewhere where you understand that whatever desk or table or bench you put it on is going to get a little sticky, and over time it's going to get a lot sticky, and you want to put down some newspapers is what I'm saying.
Another hot tip coming at you. If you want to, do a bunch of 3D printing, you're going to make a mess, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get rid of the stickiness, go get yourself a $5 UV flashlight. After you move your 3D printers, whatever, UV flashlight that table, and it'll harden all that stuff up. It won't be sticky anymore, and you can either scrape it off or just wipe it down, and you won't even notice.
It's a good tip. I like that. I'm gonna try that tip out, Casey. But
definitely try that out. Yeah.
But yeah,
because it works.
When you do need to do any maintenance or re-leveling the print head or replacing the FEP sheet, anything like that, you gotta glove up and roll up your sleeves and maybe get out your little UV flashlight or torch, as they would say in the UK, Great Britain, probably France. I don't know. You get out your UV torch and just harden that all up to make sure that you're not dealing with quite as much sticky resin. So for that reason, like, no amount of auto leveling, auto filling, bath warming is going to make that big of a difference. Like, there's definitely a ceiling on how convenient things can get until there's some giant leap in automation of all of this.
Yeah, which I honestly, I don't know, like, unless they can auto empty the vat,
auto
like,
clean
enough.
The vat, like, yeah.
I
don't think that's going to happen.
Like, no.
So my guess is that the evolution that's going to happen is that 3D printers at local game stores is going to become more and more common, and that people are going to figure out the business model of how do you give an STL file to your store owner and they will print something and get it back to you within a week. Like, that's, I feel like, and I'm sure stores are already doing this, but to me that seems like the next step in all of this. And they will have a back room with a handful of printers, and it will be their table back there that gets messy and sticky, and it will be their employees who glove up to fix the dang things. Because there's there's a hard cap on the number of people willing to dedicate a bench in their house in, precious space that's not constantly having the air breathed. It's
Well, for a while there, I had a real good setup. You saw it when everything was in my shower.
Yes, I did see it.
3D printers up in the shower. It's its own closed room with a fan and everything, and just set it and not think about it at all. That was a good spot for 3D printers. Not convenient for anyone else, of course.
No,
the shower never got used.
No.
For me, it's great. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you moved to a new place, and
where
new
they're
place,
just
new
out
challenges. You're getting into lizard and gecko and iguana season over there in Nevada.
Oh my god, dude! Yeah. Luckily, I got rid of the two that made it their way in here. But
this week.
Yeah, essentially. Although it's been raining this week, so it's been a good week.
Wish Casey luck, everyone. He's gonna be dealing with lizards in the coming.
Oh no! The other day I was sitting down on the floor. Right, I was building this new table I got, which I plan on talking about at some point during this thing. But I don't know if you've ever seen them, but in Nevada we have these stink bugs that are a good, I don't know, like 1.5 to 2 inches long, huge, like almost like dung beetle looking bugs. Nice size pinchers on the front. And what they do is when they get scared, they just point their ass up in the air
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden you can smell it. Like, it's really pungent, it's nasty,
Mm-hmm.
and they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I hadn't seen one in my neighborhood where I am now, because it's kind of, you know, suburban neighborhood, if you will. Like, I used to see them out in the desert all the time, but now apparently they're just coming into my office. So I'm sitting, and this one just like crawls over my leg, and I'm just like, it freaked me out, of course. And then it freaked out, and then it smelled in here, and then I had to grab a thing and toss it outside. It was terrible. Terrible. Yeah, so I'm looking into getting some sealant for the garage door. Like an all-weather, like, you know, seal that flops around all sides, including the bottom and everything. And that's happening. And I also I installed an AC in here, so it's not going to be like extraordinarily hot during the summer like it was last summer. It's going to be nice and cool in here. Like, it's rated for this room and everything, and it cools it down nicely. Of course, I had to bust out the heater again because it's been like 40 degrees this week. But that's kind of how Nevada is in general up here in the northern part. You never know. So, yeah, that's what I've been dealing with. Lizards and stink bugs. And that's it so far. I haven't seen anything else.
I wish you the best of luck. And you let me know when you get all that sorted, and I'll come visit you, you know.
I mean, so far so good. The couch I have in here is real nice.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of iguanas sitting on that couch, and
yeah,
in the event that I come visit you,
fine.
I'm pretty sure that's where I'm sleeping. So we
fair, yeah. That's some ground rules. Like, don't worry, I checked it for lizards. You're good to go for at least 12 hours.
Yeah, I will leave you a terrible review on the apps
yeah. First 10 minutes of the next podcast is just reviewing your staying conditions at my house. I woke up and it was on my face, and then I flew home.
Yeah, and that is stunk in here. Yeah,
yeah, I didn't know why. Now the stink bug thing was definitely, I think, a weird fluke, because like, I literally haven't seen one of those in this neighborhood or area ever. And I've been out here for like 6 years now, so I don't know what that was about.
Cool.
Just crawled out a hole somewhere.
Cool.
The lizard thing though, like, really, like, you're fine. They're harmless.
Okay.
They don't bite. They crawl.
Okay.
And they don't have like pokey, you know, nails or anything. They're fine.
Okay. Well, we'll learn to get along then.
It'll be great.
Uh-huh.
It'll be great. You'll be painting models, and all of a sudden you'll hear something, and there's just one up on the wall.
Boom. Bam.
Boom. Yeah. Then you grab him and you say, "You got a little guy. You just gotta get out of here. Get out of
here, little guy."
Toss him out.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. And then you 3D print some stuff.
All right. So I got another thing to say about 3D printers, is that I hope as we go forward, the culture of durability is improved. So as far as I know, all of these 3D printers are still manufactured in like the same 2 factories in China. And they do have durability issues. Like the screens need to be replaced every once in a while. They die pretty frequently. To a point, it makes sense. The whole point of the screens is that they're shooting UV radiation everywhere. UV radiation like degrades organic material and causes reactions to happen in organic material, which is why it causes sunburns and cancer, and also causes resin to polymerize. So, like, yeah, those to a point are going to degrade, but we also see a lot of problems with these screens just because like the connectors aren't very good.
Yeah, a lot of the actual connections to the small boards, because I don't know if you've ever opened one up, but it's basically like the size of a Raspberry Pi. It's really small, like 3x3, and that's what runs your entire printer. It's very simple, essentially simple technology. but the ribbons are so fragile.
Yeah. Bulk that
like
up.
One time
Let's go.
I got a printer. I got the DLP printer, like Texas Instruments one from Anycubic. And like it didn't really work when I got it. It was like a pre-production model, so I'm sure there was some other funkiness with it, but like I was emailing back and forth and they're just like, "Oh yeah, just remove the ribbon and reattach it." I'm like, there is no way. There is absolutely no way that this is going to work. And guess what? It didn't work.
Yeah.
And then it completely didn't work.
Do you see how small this is? Here is a stink bug for size comparison. Look how huge the stink bug is and how tiny this ribbon
size.
is.
Yeah. Well, it's like a ribbon with like 50 or 60 cables attached to it, like leads on the end of it. It's not a small ribbon. It's not like your 24 pin into a motherboard kind of ribbon.
Yep.
You know, it's a whole other thing. So yeah, needless to say, I guess that didn't go well.
Yeah. But we've seen lots of mechanical failures on these as well, and there's only the one moving part, but I've seen a couple of them jam up. The linear actuator just stop in the down position or something like that.
Oh man.
And that is definitely room for improvement of just charge an extra $50. Use a thick, durable ribbon between the electronic parts. Use some nice, thick, durable wires that aren't gonna break when you like set the printer on your table. Use just slightly more expensive components. Like instead of the very cheapest, go to like the second cheapest component on everything.
Yeah.
This is like the same rules for buying bus tickets. Like just go to the second cheapest. Like that'll save you so much trouble if you do that. So one of the reasons I'm upset today is that I've been printing a lot, and I went to cure all these prints that I've been printing. Yeah. And a year or two ago, Frozen sent me a cure booth. So it's a turntable, and it's like a U of lights, of UV LED lights in a U shape above the turntable. And I go to cure my prints, and I press on, and the turntable spins, and the lights don't go on.
Oh.
And this was yesterday, and I don't know. And Frozen sent this to me for free. Thank you, Frozen. It broke, and if I spent $250 on this, I would be more angry than I currently am. Like I'm currently, like it's shown up in, I think maybe twice in my videos in like a 5-second segment. It's a segment. Maybe you folks remember this at home if you watch Goobertown Hobbies, but I turn on the cure booth, and I've got my sunglasses on, and I kind of peek my head out from behind the cure booth.
Yeah.
That cure booth doesn't work anymore. Those lights don't go on anymore. So,
what a bummer, man. That's gotta be. See, that's some like stupid ribbon thing that like you moved it half an inch, and that just like one pin fell out. So now
I'm not abusing this instrument. I put it on my table, and then I put it under the table. And then sometimes I put it on the table again. Like, I'm not doing anything crazy here.
Yeah.
And it's a light. It's a light. Like,
the
turntable, I can imagine, like, one of the gears lost the grease and it, jammed up, something overheated. I don't know.
Sure.
Like, again, like cheap components. But if your light doesn't turn on, oh, man. Like, that's... it. Yeah, I didn't pay $250 for that cure booth, but like I did say, basically implicitly say like, hey, this thing does the job, and here I am smiling with my sunglasses behind my cure booth, and
well, when it works, it does the job.
So I think that's been a common experience, or at least for me, is like these printers, these cure booths, from all these Chinese companies, like they start and they work perfectly right out of the box. That's been my experience, is that they generally do work. You said that you had an Anycubic that
I just had
work,
the one. But, but that was an interesting case because like they legitimately were like, no, this is this is a pre-production model that we've had in our office that we were testing with, and we are sending it to you now. I don't know how legitimate that is, but that's what they told me. And it technically worked for a couple of prints, but the prints didn't come out. And then, you know, I was going back and forth with them, and then it just stopped working altogether. So something was clearly wrong with it from when they sent it to me. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, that's being shipped, you know, from China on a boat, presumably. And yeah, who knows? But all my other printers have, out of the box, been perfect. Yeah.
And again, to a degree, like there's a moving part. There's LCD screen that is shooting UV light, which is gonna cause problems eventually. But I don't know. There still seems to be like quality control issues, and I wish that there was a little more emphasis on durability. And I think eventually, once they run out of like other gimmicks to add to the printers, that maybe start to be a selling factor. And also just, you know, the longer it's been since 3D printers have been on the market, and the higher percentage of the total printers sold start to malfunction, like I think that'll start to change, hopefully. And, you know, I'll start to call for it. But again, I feel bad as a YouTuber in that, like, you know, most of my videos where I have a 3D printer in them, it's because the 3D printer worked and I have a mini to paint now. And, you know, I very rarely, I basically never show you under my 3D printing table where I have multiple 3D printers that have something wrong with them at the moment that needs to be sorted out, troubleshot.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Because I know you've had more failures with printers than I have.
Okay.
I still have right now. So I thought that my Elegoo Saturn like crapped out completely. I went to go use it. I tried to turn it on, checked the power brick. I was like, you know, trying to figure out if I plugged it in or if something wasn't powering on. It works now, and it's been working perfectly fine. It didn't turn on a couple of times that I tried to turn it on. But other than that, that's the only actual issue I've had with it. Otherwise, I have like 3 working printers, and I've had them, and they've worked since I've gotten them.
Cool.
And I mean, I use them a lot.
Nice.
Like a lot.
Nice. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I just got lucky with those in particular. But yeah, I mean, because we do show a lot of these things. Obviously, these companies send us this stuff. And it's like, yeah, they work great out of the box. That's definitely been our experience. But then, yeah, like, I mean, a few months later, a year later, they just stop working. Like, that's not great.
That's not great. That's
really
not great.
Not acceptable.
At all. And I mean, we've joked before about Jawas like coming and collecting 3D printers and then rolling around in their crawler and like setting them all up, and and Owen Lars can go and pick out a refurbished Anycubic photon and
just put a new screen on there. Got yourself a new lift arm.
Yeah, not that one. No, not that one. No. The Photon S. The Photon S. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And I know that for the people who have more time to fiddle with their printers, that there are, you know, a lot of, I don't know, Reddit threads and stuff out there that give more tips for troubleshooting that I've had the time to go through. But
I don't think most people get into 3D printing though with the thought that like, oh, I'm gonna have to replace this screen in a year. I'm going to have to do something or, you know, line up this ribbon perfectly or whatever the case is. Like, it's not part of the hobby that you're in. You're not like, I love engineering and building crap.
That's not the
like,
fun part.
Oh, I don't
that is not the fun
that's
part.
not
for
the
sure.
fun part.
For sure.
Yeah. Like generally, especially if you watch any of our videos, it's like, well, I want to print models.
Yeah.
Cause that's what I want to do. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I like that kind of underground extra hobby on the hobby exists, right? Of people who can troubleshoot and figure this stuff out. I hate that it's necessary.
Me too. Yeah.
Like it shouldn't exist. That underground scene shouldn't exist unless there are people modding their 3D printers on purpose, voiding any warranty. Although now that I mention that, most of these people, I think if you buy from them, give you a short warranty.
Yeah.
But the pro tip, the hot tip on that is to just buy it from Amazon so you can return it if it doesn't work.
Agreed.
Yeah. Buy it from Amazon. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, I don't know. It sucks because I feel like when we make videos about 3D printers, it's kind of like, yeah, it works right now. That's great.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, any product category that you're meant to have over several years, like a lot of times, any review is going to be like, yeah, the first month or couple of months. And kudos to the people who do make a review, like, here's my experience of the first 6 months, the first year of using something. Yeah. Those are rare, but like I really respect the people who will do that. And I think it is necessary, but even then, you know, if a 3D printer, something serious goes wrong with it after 18 months, still not great.
Yeah, I mean, considering the cost too. Although, I mean, some of this stuff that used to cost, like, I remember when the Mono X came out and it was like $800 or $900 or something.
Right.
Man, you can get those. You can literally get an Anycubic Mono X 4K mono printer that is like an exceptionally quality 3D printer in that space for like $149 these days.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a huge investment considering like a new box of, you know, GW is like $250, right? So it feels like, okay, this is probably going to last a couple of years, right? Like, I feel better about that, but like at $900, like, that shit better last for like a decade.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I've got a laser printer over here, an HP 1020. Bought it 17 years ago, still going.
Yeah, still going. That's right. Hewlett Packard knows what's going on.
That's right. That's what we need to have happen, is to have HP start to make some 3D printers. Like,
yeah.
Not all these brands that we only know them because they make 3D printers. We need Honda to make a 3D printer, Toyota to make a 3D printer, Mitsubishi. Yeah.
Mitsubishi might, because that makes sense. Yamaha could.
Sure. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Yeah, you start getting some. I mean, I guess it depends on how big the hobby, so to speak, gets. I mean, if prices keep going down, then maybe we'll end up getting there if these companies find some sort of value. Because, like, clearly, you know, like Honda, Yamaha, Mitsubishi, whatever, they're all closer to that side of the world. It's probably easier to manufacture something from scratch over there, or start something, I would imagine.
Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but
anyway,
still,
I ordered myself some LED black lights so that I can jury rig my frozen Luna cure booth, and I'll just drill a hole in the side so that I can snake in my LED wire and just
you know, sad as I've seen that before. I've legitimately seen somebody do that before in a video.
So
it's not
that's what I'm gonna be doing, because the very nice housing for the LEDs that came with it don't turn on anymore for no good reason. Right. So I'm just gonna have two wires. It's got a booth, which is good for the UV rays to protect my eyes, and little Gordon and little Snuffles, so they're not looking at UV radiation. And also, it's got a turntable in there, but I'm gonna need that second wire for my Amazon.com black light that I've got to rig up in there. So.
Before I ever got a cure station, I bought one of those like Amazon black light with the like Erectoset trusses, you know?
Wonderful.
Yeah, and dude, that thing never had a problem
Oh
with it.
yeah.
Came with a
No,
little,
I mean,
little turntable that was solar powered.
this is
so
not
it would spin when
complicated
I turned the light on.
technology. It should be
Yeah,
reliable.
yeah. Otherwise, I just set them on a windowsill, and that also worked
Yeah.
100% fine.
I did that today, actually. I took a baking tray
right.
and I coated it with a little bit of aluminum foil to make it extra shiny. Took it out in the sunshine.
Yeah, get that reflection.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about what we're printing here now in 3D printing season. What do you get?
Yeah. Well, I did mention earlier I was printing some Stormcast bits. So I'm taking a bunch of these old Stormcasts that, like, because the old, like, original Stormcast models from the first AOS starter box, like, they're pretty jank these days. Like, and a lot of that line that came out, like, built off of those originals, and like they're squat and funky and like misproportioned. Like, it doesn't work for me. And the new ones that came out in Dominion were like a huge breath of fresh air, right? Really cool models that made way more sense to me, and I actually like painting those a lot more. So I thought, okay, well, you know, how do I fix this problem? Because I just happen to have a lot of Stormcast models. I probably have like 4 armies worth, like, you know, 8,000 points of Stormcast sitting around. I have a lot. And so I got to do something with them. Yeah. I sold 2,000 points of Stormcast a couple years ago. Even. Still have an excess. It's ridiculous. So I thought, okay, there's some really cool, like, grimdark, you know, like Mordheim looking models that are using some Stormcast stuff, because their armor is pretty beefy, right? So you can kind of use some of that, and it looks cool. So I thought, all right, I'll do that. I'll snip away and replace some heads with some, you know, old knight, you know, old school, like, realistic knight helmets, some cooler weapons, just general stuff like that. So that's mostly what I've been printing out, just to kit bash those to make them look better. And I mean, I did some of the old ones and I did some of the new ones just to kind of compare, and like, it works pretty good. Like, they actually look more proper together. You take some of the extra crap off of them, and they look good. So that's mostly what I've been printing out. I am going to be printing out, oh man, like a full terrain set for side tiles. Can't remember if I mentioned this last time or not. They're like Lego bricks that put together to make terrain. They're for 15 millimeter, wargaming, that kind of thing. So I have a lot of that stuff that I'm planning on printing out, and luckily, I just was in contact with Anycubic the other day, and they are sending me some ridiculous, like, 12K auto leveling resin printer that I've never seen or heard of. That I don't know if it's gonna make a difference. They really were like, hey, we want you to try this out and print something really small that has a lot of detail. I'm like, 15 millimeter models, here we go. So I'm printing out like a massive amount of terrain and 15 millimeter models, specifically because I want teeny tiny Conquest First Blood.
Ooh,
that's the goal.
Ooh,
that's the game I picked. Yeah. So thank you for your awesome suggestions. I got a couple of really good suggestions. Gaslands in 15 millimeters, great suggestion. I think that would actually be really fun.
Yes.
Another one was Star Wars Legion, like little AT-ATs in 15 mil. Ooh. Yeah, that sounds cool. So those were a close second. I ended up going with Conquest First Blood, simply because, I don't know, it looked awesome, and I've been watching like battle reports of it, and it looks super fun. It's basically taking the idea of Conquest with the movement trays, but you have like a warband that's not entirely small. Like, it's got like 15, 20 models in it.
At least.
Built around a leader with a bunch of abilities, and everybody else has got something going on. with a really solid list builder on their website that works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all the rules are free, so that's kind of why I'm aiming towards that. A lot of because the rules are free, but for all this other reasons too. So that's the plan. So tons of printing. I'm still waiting on that printer. It's supposed to be here any day.
Ooh.
And I'm like trying to hold off to really get going on it because like I don't want to replace the FEPs to do the terrain parts because they're supposed to be perfectly square, right? They need to sit flat. So I don't want to screw that up by printing out bad FEPs.
Agreed.
But that's the majority of my 3D printing that I've been doing and I'm about to do.
All right.
And we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to report. Obviously, I'm making a video about it. The 12K printer. Is 12Ks too many Ks? It feels like too many Ks.
That's a video title right there. Not a good one, but
It's 12K too many Ks. Yeah. It turns out 2K was great.
yeah, seemed fine.
We had 10 too many Ks.
But not if you want teeny tiny models.
Oh man, I am kind of stoked because like a good 15 mil model like that has good detail does look so good. Like even on a 4K printer, I have no complaints. Like they look so good. The buildings though are like pretty detailed. I mean they're smaller, right? So you stack them and it kind of hides the build seams. And there's some really cool configurations. So like that kind of detail at that level with the tiny models and so good. Yeah. So that's what I've been up to.
Nice.
But you've been doing something pretty interesting.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know if you all watch MiniQuest 64 on YouTube. You should if you don't. MiniQuest 64. So Sergey does a lot of fun projects, but the one that caught my eye recently was he made just a little diorama of essentially a base from Warcraft 3. It's I don't know, a little square diorama, nice green forest, and there's all the buildings from Warcraft 3, and he actually digitally sculpted, I think he did, the buildings from Warcraft 3, and I talked to him and he sent me the files, and so I have a little barracks here,
look at you.
and a little lumber mill, and I just started painting these. That's why they don't look good. I got slowed down a little bit because my curing booth didn't work. I had to take them out in the sunshine today.
Right.
But I've got a little town hall. I've got
man.
farms and the little sentry towers and the altar of heroes. And this is like the front end of a gold mine. And I need to stick this on to like the side of a mountain or like just a chunk of rock or something. But
what's that gold mine in like that first area, the big like Gold Hill or something? I can't remember.
Goldshire? No. You're thinking of World of
It's
Warcraft.
like the first.
I didn't play a ton of Warcraft 3. I played a lot of Warcraft 2. I played a lot of World of Warcraft, but I kind of skipped Warcraft 3. But like, I recognized the buildings. A lot of the designs carried over into World of Warcraft. But anyway, so
that was very similar for me too.
Yeah, it was a fun video from MiniQuest 64, and he sent me the files. I just wanted to print them off and put a little paint on them just for nostalgia. No other. I don't have a good reason for having any of these, but they are fun to me and I like them. So that's one thing I was doing now that it's printing season. Also, I've been talking with Adam at Twin Goddess Miniatures, and he sculpted me up a couple of minis. One is almost against my will, but it's just like a jacked wizard, Brent. Just a shirtless wizard who's doing like the archer pose while casting some spells. Have fun out there, goobers. Get your subscription to Twin Goddess Minis and get you a Brent miniature.
Swole Brent.
Yeah, wonderful. But
I'm gonna be sharing that as often as I possibly can.
thank you, Casey. Thank you. But more importantly, Twin Goddess Minis also has a really good line of kobolds. They have a lot of like cool goblins and stuff too. But the kobolds are very nice. They're a lot of fun, cartoony, whimsical, mischievous. And they sculpted me up a cyberpunk kobold.
Oh man, I thought
Did you see that?
I thought you were gonna say.
Did you see that?
No, I thought you were gonna say Swobold.
Nope, not this time.
I legitimately
Not
thought
this
you were
time.
gonna just be like, and he took my head off of that model and replaced it with a kobold, and here we are.
Nope.
Oh, still good. I'm not.
Haven't
It's still
sunk
good.
that low yet, Casey. Give it time.
Yeah.
Like,
Swole
yeah,
Brent.
let my brain
Swobold.
pickle just a little bit more. We'll get there.
Yeah. Just needs some time to ferment. and We'll get there. We're gonna hit that rock bottom eventually.
And we're gonna keep on going.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, a really cute little cyberpunk kobold. And I'm going to use that actually as the miniature for a couple of painting classes I'm doing at SoonerCon 31, 33. There's a convention in Oklahoma City that I'm going to at the beginning of July. And I'm teaching a couple of short little like beginner painting classes. And I needed a model for that. And I think this is going to be fun. A cyberpunk kobold gives people a chance to, paint the skin or scale colors, whatever they want to be, and he's got some t-shirt and a leather jacket and everything, and use whatever fun cyberpunk colors you want to on there. Go nuts.
That sounds awesome.
A little 2 hours learn to paint class, and it's a fun model. Good for all ages.
Perfect.
So
That'll be fun. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm kind of optimizing like my sizing and exactly what support settings I want to do for that. And then I'm going to print off like 32 of those and be ready for a convention in a couple of months. So
Nice.
there are lots of things you can do with a 3D printer. Anything that comes into your mind, you can either sculpt yourself some buildings of a design which you definitely do not own, but if you're using for private purposes, it's probably all right.
It's legal. Yeah, you're fine.
It's legal. Blizzard has other legal problems that are more consuming to them than.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, they're not gonna.
If you get a letter from a Blizzard,
you're
a legal representative, you just reply, "Don't you have better things to do?" Like,
yeah.
This should not be your priority right now.
Right. Like your legal department is. Really needing to take a look.
Are
at
you
some of the
procrastinating
things
from what you need to be doing right now? Like,
exactly.
So, what else? What else have I been printing? Oh, I did print off a couple more dinosaurs for the one-page rules collaboration. So
Yeah, all right.
the one-page rules battle report video. It's been a couple of months, but it is still a real thing. The Cinecore Media is getting real close on the edit, and Dave also has an edit for that battle report coming out. And depending on when you listen to this episode, that'll either be out or it'll be within a few weeks. But it's I'm starting to get comments of like, where's the big fancy battle report? It's real. It's happening. The professionals take time to edit these things. It's out of my hands, but I'm also excited for it. So,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it does kind of scale, right? Like the dollar amount in camera equipment and like work effort that it took to make that then translates into we need to actually edit this like professionals, like they make a movie.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a lot longer.
So it's
definitely one of those things. YouTube video, couple of days.
Depending. Yeah.
Depending. Sometimes you don't even edit them. You just hit the button.
And I mean, this is a teachable moment that this is not a good process for actually filming battle report videos, but as a one-off, like what can we do with a serious film studio, cinema cameras, stupid robot arm, well, we're gonna see what we can do, but it's taken many months to get to this point, and it's more of a proof of concept, or purposely going above and beyond to a ridiculous degree, and and not good for actually keeping up with any particular game system. But it will be fun to see one-page rules painted up with Monument Hobbies paints, all looking good for that battle report. And it's real, it's coming. But I've been getting excited about that again, and I checked in on one-page rules, and actually since I painted that army of space lizards, the Saurian Star Host, they came out with more models for that line. And so I've been printing some of the new models for that army. And maybe I'll get around to painting them someday, maybe not, but they look cool and I like them. So again, kind of saving up some STLs until it got warm in my basement and time to print some stuff off.
At least you're printing them out. I mean, that's the other thing, right? Like we're now in this weird space where STLs are a digital pile of shame.
Yep.
And generally, even if you've only been in 3D printing for a little bit, it's already bigger than probably your actual model collection.
Oh, yeah.
Like with the monthly STL drops and all this stuff, it's like, oh, I'm getting 150 models a month. Like, okay. I mean, I'm getting that, and I'm still like, I don't know what to do with this. Yeah, it's kind of insane anymore, and
it's nice to have a library. It
is, because I definitely, from time to time, like doing this conquest thing that I'm going to be working on, like I'm like, okay, well, they clearly don't have any 15 millimeter models, so I'm going through my STL pile, going, well, what looks like old Dominion, like undead things. Like, and just scrolling through until I find something that works. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely helpful, but we are in a weird place that didn't exist even a couple of years ago.
So at Adepticon, I heard a new word for pile of shame, which I really like. So okay, I've referred to it as like a library of going and picking out something that you really want to work on. You don't have anything on your painting desk, you go to the library and you check it out, and you get something good that fits the moment. But I heard the comparison to a wine cellar at Adepticon, and I really like that. It's like, yeah, you got a collection down there. The whole point is to kind of hoard them and build your collection and to have some interesting stuff there. But when the time comes, you'll know the time. You'll go to your storage area. You'll pick the wine or the miniature that fits the moment, and you will consume it, and you'll have a good time with it. But yeah. I mean, that definitely fits the idea of collecting and not painting them. I mean, yeah, because like people who collect wines and stuff, like spending hundreds of dollars on a bottle. Yeah. Could be a connoisseur. Of course, there's some people that will not touch their wine cellar, but like we're talking about the people who do both acquire and occasionally consume from their wine cellar. But yeah. I get it. Yeah, and I definitely want to be the kind of drinker that consumes the things that I buy. Because I mean, yeah, okay, people collect, like, clearly, but so specific for drinking. It doesn't have to be shameful. You can get some nice racks for it, organize it, know it's there for when the moment is right.
I do like it. Yeah, it's very good.
And you can do the same thing digitally, but organizing your files can be a little more tricky. But actually, my mini factory does a pretty good job. So,
I wish honestly that every company used that. Yeah. Because that has helped just immensely. I don't have to dump everything onto a hard drive and wait for it to fill up or something.
And then to corrupt.
Yeah, just let me not download it. You guys can store it on a bunch of servers. hopefully they'll stay there for a decent amount of time.
Do not go out of business, my mini factory. Let me give us like a little bit of warning if you're going to go out of business. Eventually I'll get around to backing them up. Because we'll either try to like make you not go out of business or we'll download all our files, and good luck to you in the future. But anyway, it happened. It happened, Casey.
I can't believe we actually had a crash.
Oh no, we're back. We're back. I see you now, Casey.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, look at that.
A little technical glitch there. An hour
and 19 in with a first.
If anyone's still hanging out, we had a little technical glitch, but we're back with you. What else did we need to say today, Casey?
I don't know. Oh, I did want to mention. I'll mention it next time. I got some new tables in my hobby space.
All right.
They're like the motorized lift tables. I'll definitely talk about it next time after I've used them a little bit more. But man, it's been pretty helpful so far. Like just for painting and adjusting and lights and cameras, mostly for cameras, but in general, having a table that I can like lift to stand and actually put a game on and not have to bend all the way over. Like I'm getting old. That's just how it is. I don't need to be bending over a table. Like just lift it up for me. So yeah, next time I'll talk about that. But you got anything else? Been doing anything fun?
Man, I've been playing that Saga game. I've got some.
Why are you getting into that?
I found some local people who want to play Blood and Plunder.
Really?
Yeah. So down to Biddeford, there's a not a store. There's like a club. It's a game cafe. A game cafe opened up down in Biddeford, which is like a mill town in southern Maine.
Oh yeah.
And just in one of these old mill buildings next to the river, there's a cafe, basically. And the owner went to Facebook Marketplace. They bought a ton of nice old kitchen tables and like kitchen chairs. So it's like nice dining room tables in this cafe area. They've got a bar. Guy stands behind the bar and sells like bottled beer and coffee and stuff.
Yeah.
And they've got a game library, and it's actually been a communal gathering place for a lot of nerd games. So people are playing D&D there. People are playing, that's where we've been getting together to play Saga. There's a group that plays Blood and Plunder there. There's been a lot of mini games there. So they've only been open for a couple of months, but the Pint and Pawn, if you're in Maine, down to Biddeford, Pint and Pawn, and I'll wish them the best of luck, and I'm gonna try to be a patron there as much as I can. So
very cool.
So
we had some Blood and Plunder.
Working on my pirates.
Nice. Oh, going down to Biddeford. Just gonna play some Blood and Plunder.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good time.
There's a few Maine towns where it just feels appropriate to use the Maine accent, and down to Biddeford is one of those.
Yes, you say it that way. It's like it just clicks so good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll report back. I'll let you know how my pirates do.
Very good. And then we'll talk about some tables next time.
Boom.
But wrapping up 3D printing though, I think it's been a huge help to the hobby, and I'm glad it exists. And I think things are getting a little bit better if just prices coming down in general like really help that, especially with things that break and the kind of cheap quality of some of the stuff. That being said, like I do find that the newer printers, like they're made of some pretty solid metal. Like some of the more expensive ones that I have seem to be holding up nicely. So who knows? Maybe hopefully that's a trend that continues and they don't cheap out. I mean, as the market kind of closes in on like, I guess, stability and not just like progression every 6 months, like we'll probably end up getting nicer versions of the things that just exist and work. So
I hope so.
I don't know. I'm pretty hopeful, and I think it's definitely worth getting into if you can find like a sweet deal on Amazon, so you can return it if it breaks.
Right. Yep, that the industry is cranking along. I'm glad it exists. There are a ton of STL designers out there that just month after month are putting out awesome designs and growing the digital library that we all could access if we want to. So even if you don't own a particular STL, it's easy to go on, for example, My Mini Factory, and find from the library that is continuously expanding something that actually does kind of fit the mood and meet your needs. So all in all, I'm still liking 3D printing. Absolutely.
Sweet.
Yep.
Well, yeah, let us know your thoughts down in the comments. And till next time, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. As always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time.